The long-awaited ceasefire agreement brokered by the United States between Israel and Hamas has now been signed. Hostages released. You see it happening there. As we have been looking today at Jerusalem, where also people have been celebrating the ceasefire. Hours ago, the same plaza filled with hundreds of people celebrating.
And as part of that agreement today, 20 living Israeli hostages, as you are seeing, and the bodies of 4 deceased hostages have returned home in exchange for nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners.
Watching the reunions here with family members, the exchange also included the release of much-needed humanitarian aid to Gaza. Several of the released hostages were abducted at the Nova Music Festival on October 7th of 2023.
Today, President Donald Trump calling it the dawn of a new Middle East. The exchange is one crucial step in a greater peace plan with many challenges still ahead. Well,
we all woke up to this morning to the huge breaking news, so let's show you how the day went. Here's ABC's Christian Cordero with the latest from Washington.
In Egypt today, with the world as witness, a symbolic signature and a vow to bring peace to the Middle East.
Together we've achieved what everybody said was impossible. At long last, we have peace in the Middle East, and it's a very simple expression, peace in the Middle East.
The first crucial step of a greater peace plan was put into action today, with Hamas releasing the 20 remaining living Israeli hostages and some of the bodies of the deceased hostages for nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners. President Trump insists the exchange has moved all parties onto phase 2, even though Hamas has not released all the bodies.
Phase 2 has started, and you know, the phases are all a little bit mixed in with each other. They're going to start cleaning up. You look at Gaza, it needs a lot of cleanup.
Not everyone in Israel agrees the deal is being upheld. The Hostage Families Forum is calling for an immediate halt to the agreement as Israel's defense minister accuses Hamas of violating the ceasefire by failing to return all 28 deceased hostages. Even so, the fragility of the deal is met with long-awaited relief on both sides of the conflict. For the 20 remaining living hostages, reunion after joyous reunion. 738 days in the making. And the roads inbound to Gaza today swell with truckloads of desperately needed humanitarian aid, plus buses full of nearly 2,000 Palestinian prisoners, crowds huddled around their return home, or what's left of it. Christian Cordero, ABC News, Washington.
And it's unclear what phase 2 of this peace plan entails exactly.
Right now, behind us, by the way, we're showing you the Western Wall live in Jerusalem. You see some people there even at this hour. And when it comes to lasting peace, the challenges include figuring out the future of Hamas, who will govern the Palestinian people, and how Gaza will rebuild.
Meanwhile, today here at home, community members in Louisville are embracing phase 1 of the ceasefire deal. Our Alexander Goldberg spoke to locals from the Jewish Federation of Louisville, as well as a Palestinian activist, to get their reactions.
It gives us a little bit of space and, again, a place to hope and believe that it's possible to have a different world in the Middle East.
Because you cannot continue to bomb and then hope for peace or justice. So definitely very well welcomed, and I was hoping that, you know, it will continue.
Israeli troops withdrew to a line that was agreed upon by both forces as part of the ceasefire. The 20-point plan also notes full humanitarian aid will immediately be sent to the Gaza Strip. We'll have Alexander's full story coming up next on WHAS11 News at 6 o'clock. And our coverage of today's historic ceasefire and hostage release continues right here at 5:30 tonight with a live guest joining us.
That's right. Louisville's foremost expert on the wars of Israel is going to join us live tonight. Dr. Kurt Jefferson of Spalding University just published his new book about all this in May, looking at all sides of the conflict. Will this lead, though, to lasting peace? That's a big question that is still lingering tonight.
We're barreling toward one of the longest shutdowns in American history unless Democrats drop their partisan demands and pass a clean, no-strings-attached budget to reopen the government and pay our federal workers.
Now to the big story in our country, the government shutdown continuing. Strong words today from Speaker of the House Mike Johnson, now saying he believes this shutdown could be the longest in history. It comes as the government shutdown is now entering its 3rd week. Well, the impact of the shutdown goes far beyond Washington. Thousands of federal workers are furloughed or working unpaid, and that's having a direct impact on one of Kentucky's treasures.
WHAS11's Conroy DeLuche went to Mammoth Cave today, which remains open but with far fewer guides to help visitors.
The crowds are thinner at Mammoth Cave National Park than they normally would be this time of year, especially with people on fall break and coming to watch the leaves change. But there are trails that are open and people are still coming, so they're making the best of their trip.
So going inside Mammoth Cave is to stand in awe of who God is.
And that feeling is why so many make the drive to Kentucky's only national park.
We spent our one-night honeymoon here. So we came back, 40th anniversary, we wanted to do something a little bit special.
But this fall,
I forgot.
the government shutdown in Washington is shutting down trails into the historic cave.
So we have no cave guides that are here. It's limited the rangers that are out and about.
The visitor center was open when we visited, but booths sat empty, and there were far fewer employees on site. Even though operations at the park are more limited, an information booth does remain open.
Then these are some of the options around here.
Sandra Wilson is the vice president of the Caveland Marketing Association, a team of 5 tourism agencies that surround Mammoth Cave.
When we first started doing this on the first of the month, there were hundreds of people coming in outside. We met visitors from all over the United States who were surprised, some of them.
Wilson and other directors worried about the ripple effects that, as word spread of cave tours being closed, that people would cancel trips.
And we were very nervous that the shutdown was going to cost the fall break, but it doesn't seem like it has.
Even though trails are limited, visitors are coming, and this booth is staying open.
Always welcoming people and giving them information of what to do outside the park,
in hopes of keeping people around during peak times.
It's still beautiful. You can still do beautiful trails and still walk around and drive around and see things.
And making sure they return when Mammoth Cave is fully open. With senior photojournalist Alyssa Newton, Conroy DeLuche, WHAS11 on your side.
Well, if you do make the trip down, you can monitor the surrounding tourism agencies for information about the cave's operations and what remains open. But the shutdown isn't just affecting national parks. It's everything that receives government funding, from national zoos to museums. And the Smithsonian posted on its website, as of yesterday, it's temporarily closing its 19 museums, research centers, and the National Zoo. The facilities were able to stay open using budget funds from previous years, but the zoo reassured the public that the animals will continue to be fed and cared for, but the public will not be able to even watch its live animal cameras online.
What a week we have, and no rain really in sight. And we are joined by meteorologist Matt Breland, who has taken a little break from our morning news to fill in for Mallory Schnell this week. Matt, certainly good to have you. I'm glad you're awake.
Are you awake?
And very energetic as always.
The way the turnover worked today, I was able to sleep in from the weekend, and now, yes, I'm ready to go. The wheels are turning, and the weather looking great out here too. You'll notice just a few of those passing clouds in our skies, but the temperatures, perfect start right now as we get ready for those evening hours. We're settling into the lower 70s at the moment right now in Louisville. Temperatures near Bowman Field 75, E-Town 74. Quiet and dry so far. This view is brought to us by the Shriners Children's Hospital in Lexington, and the reason why the air feels so nice, it's because those dew points continuing to stay into the lower to mid 50s for most of us. Anytime you see that dew point temperature lower than the actual temperature, that means there's less water in the atmosphere, meaning that it feels fairly comfortable for us. As we go later on into the evening hours, a few of those clouds will still continue to try and pass closer into our skies, but notice as they make their way closer into southern Indiana, they're really beginning to break apart. That's because they're encountering a lot of that dry air that we still have in place, and that still is going to be around as we settle further on into our evening hours. So here's a look at the next upcoming minutes for you. You can still expect mostly quiet conditions, and as we go past the evening time into our nighttime hours, we'll continue to stay quiet and dry. That pattern will carry over into our Tuesday morning as well, with another round of those cooler temperatures into the 50s. We're warming up as we go later on into the weekend. We'll have details about that coming up here in a few short minutes.
Matt, thank you so much. Right now, a Louisville man facing murder charges in 2 cases that are years apart. Today, Metro Police saying a Jefferson County grand jury indicted 22-year-old Dionese Lee Jr. LMPD says that he is charged with murder in a shooting that happened on Wilson Avenue in July of 2023 and is also charged with murder for a fatal shooting that happened on West Broadway this past August. LMPD is also saying that Lee was already in custody for unrelated murder charges stemming from a St. Matthews police investigation.
LMPD is asking for your help finding 4 people after an alleged theft spree. Police say several suspects are targeting homes and cars in multiple neighborhoods, including Valley Station, PRP, and Fairdale. And take a look at your screen right now at these images that were shared by LMPD of the suspects. Police say that they are believed to have been carrying guns, and they used a light-colored SUV. During a press conference today, LMPD said the suspects are not afraid to fire either and have already exchanged 20 to 30 gunshots with one victim who attempted to confront them. LMPD Sergeant Joe Keeling says if you see them in your driveway, stay inside. Call the police.
We don't need anybody trying to be a hero right now and going out and stopping these guys. They need to call 911, let the police get there, get in the area, and try to stop these individuals. They don't need to be confronting anybody right now.
LMPD also said these thefts can range outside of those neighborhoods we mentioned earlier, and there's not any specific car type that's actually being targeted. If you have any information, you're asked to call the anonymous tip line 574 LMPD. The 2025 Harvest Homecoming came to a close yesterday, and this year looked different. And that's because there were no rides, a large law enforcement presence, and even a memorial to commemorate one of the victims of last year's deadly shooting. In that shooting, 18-year-old Bryce Gerlach was shot and killed, plus 2 others were hurt. Brendan Hagan is one of those survivors, and he returned to the festival reflecting on the shooting.
Yeah, no, I had some guy, he held me down, they were still shooting and stuff, and he took my shirt off and then tied my leg up.
I said, keep talking to me.
No, yeah, that was
please.
This is where he died. I remember seeing them trying to actually revive him.
Well, a year after the shooting, Hagan is playing basketball again, plus working as a car salesman in honor of the senior killed in the shooting. The Bryce Gerlach Memorial Foundation was also created. 5 young men were charged in last year's shooting.
Up next, the East Coast is getting slammed by a dangerous nor'easter today, prompting rescues and affecting travel. We've got the details when we come back.
Here's a look at the Kentucky Lottery jackpot numbers. The Mega Millions, $600 million. The Powerball, $258 million.
The Kentucky Lottery, funding education for over 1 million Kentucky students.